lions and hyenas in our camp, a stare down with a Cape buffalo, and 2 leopards playing tug of war with a baboon. Today we're talking the Serengeti National Park, my favorite place in the entire world. Chasing Wild Podcast starts next. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Chasing Wild Podcast, your home for everything adventure, conservation, and wildlife. We are your hosts, Jake Johnson, Dean Dudzik, and today we are talking the Serengeti National Park. Like I said in the cold opening, my favorite place in the entire world. Before we jump in, Dean, how you been? How you doing?
I'm good. I just got home just over an hour ago, a little road trip. So
Yeah.
Nicolette and I went down to, have you heard of Snake Road? It's
I have
not
not.
it's not the name of the actual road, but it's this road way down in southern Illinois, like by Carbondale area. You know where Carbondale is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's way down there, and it's this road that is sandwiched between this big bluffs. I don't know what type of rocks they are, but these big rock escarpments, and then this huge swamp. I think it's called the LaRue Swamp. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, this road goes right through them, and it's springtime here. The time we're recording, it's in April. What happens is the snakes come out of those bluffs in the spring, and they migrate across this little gravel road to the swamp on the other side of the road, and that's where they'll spend, the summer, at least for the more aquatic snakes. And then in the fall, it's opposite. So they come out of the swamp into the bluffs, and they'll go into the rocks, into the caves and crevices, and they'll overwinter there in those bluffs. And then during those times in the spring and the fall, they close the road to vehicles, so you can only walk it. And so people from all around the country that are like snake nerds like me will come to this snake road and walk it in the spring or fall. So I only heard about it like a year or two ago. But since then it's been on like an actual bucket list on my phone of like places I want to go. And yeah, we went there. We got there in the evening yesterday. We didn't see anything snake wise. What did we see? We saw eagles on the way up in that area or on the way down, vultures, all sorts of birds. And then on the road, we saw lots of frogs, toads, not much else after dark. And then this morning we came back and nothing on the our first walk down the road. It's 2.5 miles each way. So we walked 2.5 miles, no snakes. On the way back, we ran into a group of people. They said, well, they were actually just watching a snake. It was, I forgot what water snake species, but it was some water snake species that was basking right on the edge of the swamp. So I got some pretty good pics of that one. Maybe we can put them up. I'll send them to you.
And send them to me. I'll toss them in.
Yeah, so that was a water snake. And then we were told they just saw a snake, like literally just come out of shed its own skin, just a few yards down the trail from that water snake. And I'm standing next to the shed, like it's right next to my head, and I'm looking in the direction it would have come out of its shed. And I see a tail maybe 10 feet up in the tree, this like black tail, and then I see it moving. And like I called Nicolette over, I got all excited, and I had to walk around to see the rest of its body. And then I got some really good clips, some video. It was a black rat snake. It was climbing all over the trees and stuff, and it's really cool because it had just shed like within the last hour. So I got a video of the snake climbing, and then I turn around, and the shed skin is like right next to my head. So yeah. Anyway,
doing a little wild trek, hey?
Yeah. So we ended up only seeing 2 snakes. We saw a skink by that water snake too. It's like a small lizard.
Very cool.
And then a bunch of other wildlife, like mostly birds, some deer as well. So yeah, it was a little quick road trip, but we're planning on doing it again. And we learned some things about, how to find snakes better next time, hopefully. But yeah, that was my little trip just got back from.
That's awesome. And I feel like when spring hits, I mean, you guys are probably inspired by the fact that it's starting to get warm out. It's starting to be like, oh my gosh, like it's time to get outside and see the animals again, and the birds are migrating through. I actually just went and had a little wild trek adventure myself. So post work, went to a nature preserve by where we used to live, by the zoo where we both work, or
Yeah.
where I work. And I was just going around looking for some things, saw some geese, saw some birds, saw some deer. And then all of a sudden, I was like, all right, because we used to walk our dog through this trail all the time. And I'm like, this is where the coyotes used to be, and I would love to see a coyote right now.
Hmm.
Sure enough, not even 5 minutes later, I see it running through the trees. And
Oh,
I'll put the
nice.
little picture. I got a very quick glimpse of it. And I'm watching, and it, goes away into the forest. And I'm like, there's a clearing up here where there's always some deer, some white-tailed deer. I'm like, I think this coyote's probably going to find these deer. So I'm following, just kind of following behind with my camera, and then all of a sudden I see three deer running through the forest. Long story short, the coyote had been chasing the deer. I saw the coyote again circling around, got to the clearing. I sat there for like an hour. I'm watching a herd of like probably 20, 25, 30 deer.
Jeez.
And by the end, I'm getting kind of frustrated. I'm like, all right, maybe I was wrong, because I thought the the coyote was gonna circle and hunt them. Sure enough, right before I'm about to give up because it's sunset, I see totally on the other side of the clearing two coyotes, both watching the deer, like kind of like crouched down.
Uh,
And I they didn't end up doing anything while I was there, but they were just kind of sitting there waiting for the deer to go that way. But it was sunset and I had to go. But just the opportunity to, one, know an ecosystem, right? I had been there plenty of times. And then two, just kind of understand the way that, nature works, the way these animals work. I was like, all right, it's dusk, it's spring. They're probably hunting right now. And sure enough, they were on the hunt. So
that's cool.
it's nice to get back out, isn't it? Winter's killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Like I
the
said,
older we get, it's
yeah.
just like, man, I need this, like the sun and the warm weather to get outside. So
Yeah, it's a good excuse, especially like you said, a lot of the animals, certain types of animals are moving in the spring. The birds are migrating. Apparently, like there's a huge bird migration that's about to pass through Illinois. So
did you just get that app or the notification by the Merlin app? Just
no,
got it today. It's like, there's lots of birds coming through your area.
we're Nicola and I were having breakfast this morning, and she has the app, and she got the
Yep. Yep.
notification. That's how I know about it. Yeah.
Well, these are both little tiny glimpses into the world of wildlife, but no place more wild than the Serengeti National Park, right? I mean, I traveled to the Serengeti. I lived in Tanzania for 3.5 months. In 2017, was there on a study abroad trip, and we had the opportunity to go to the Serengeti amongst other national parks. But we were at the Serengeti for 4 days, 3 nights, and still to this day, it is just the most jam-packed wildlife, incredible experience I've ever had in my life. Full of safaris and, camping at night and, kind of being off the grid, just no service, just the most incredible trip I've ever been on. But when you think about what we see on a daily basis, right? Like here where there's a lot of people and, we had to drive all the way to Southern Illinois just to, see a couple snakes. Being able to be in a place that's just so biodiverse and full of a high density of predators and prey and everything, so special. So Serengeti National Park, that's our little nature news segment. We're just going to go over a little bit of what the Serengeti is for people who may not be as familiar, but it is in Tanzania. It was established in 1951. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, known for the Great Migration. So for people who have seen those videos of all the wildebeest crossing the Mara River, right, and getting torn to shreds by Nile crocodiles. That is the Serengeti National Park. So it's known for the Great Migration, where there's about 1.5 million wildebeest migrating from the southern to northern ends. 300,000 zebras, antelopes, all sorts of those things. We've got the big five. So you got your rhino, lion, leopard, elephant, and buffalo.
Mm.
Highest concentration of predators in all of Africa. So there's about 3,000 lions there, 250 cheetahs, 9,000 hyenas. You got a lot of those big predators, which people are always going out to see, myself included. It's about 14,763 square kilometers. So that is the size of Maryland, roughly the size of Maryland. So it's ginormous. And Serengeti itself in Swahili means endless plains. And that's basically what it is. When you drive in, you see just an endless plain. But besides those plains, it is a habitat biodiversity spot. So you've got the plains, you got savanna woodlands, and you have riverine forests. So it's not just, flat ground. You've got your trees, you got your rivers going through it, and you've got your, density of forest there. But yeah, that is, am I missing anything, Dean?
Do you want to talk
Yeah.
about a question I had? Like Jake and I were just doing a really quick brief before this, and I brought up the Maasai. I was like, "Oh, let's talk about the Maasai and the Serengeti." Jake
Yes.
educated me. Jake, do you want to touch on that point too? I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. So the Maasai are one of the tribes in Africa, right? I'm sure people are familiar with maybe some videos that they've seen online, or just the name Maasai in general, Maasai warriors, right? The Maasai used to live in the Serengeti, what became known as now the Serengeti National Park. And when it was made a national park, you can't have people living there. So it was actually a big kind of
Protests.
conflict. Yeah, protests and stuff like that. Yeah, protests, exactly what I was looking for.
Yep.
Protests. And that led to the separation of the now known as the Ngorongoro crater. And that is a place where people are allowed to live. The Maasai is allowed to live. So the Ngorongoro crater is also an incredible, beautiful place that you can go visit. We went there right before the Serengeti. Plan on doing more of a deep dive on that when we can have another podcast episode.
Mhm.
That was my second favorite place we went in all of Tanzania, only second behind the Serengeti. But yeah, the Maasai still live there to this day, and that was the reason that they separated. So they completely border each other. Ngorongoro Conservation Area and the Serengeti National Park,
It's
but
a
they're
hard
all
one.
part of the Serengeti greater ecosystem. Yeah, it is a
Nice.
hard one, especially when you're going fast. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that's a little fun fact there. And for people going to see the Great Migration, it's in like May, June, July time. So that's when they're wildebeest are crossing the Mara and the Grumeti, I want to say, rivers.
Mhm.
We were not there during that time, so we didn't experience them going over the river, but we did experience the Great Migration. So
Very cool.
yeah, that's kind of where we'll start. So why don't we? I've got kind of three buckets that I want to go over today. So game drives, just what safaris are like, camping in the Serengeti, because that was wild, and then just the aspect of kind of being off the grid in general. But let's start with game drives. First off, for people who enjoy going out to find animals, right, or just like enjoy seeing like, oh, that's a coyote. I haven't seen a coyote in a while. This is the most stimulating place you could ever go, because as soon as you cross into the border of the Serengeti National Park, it's on. Like, you are in the wild. You're constantly on a game drive. It never ends. It's anything could be out there around you. And for us, we had gone to the Ngorongoro crater, and I had fallen asleep in between the two because we had an early morning. And as soon as we got into the Serengeti and I was woken up, we were right there in the Great Migration. So out each window for like 3 hours straight, we are just seeing nothing but wildebeest and zebras and gazelle just everywhere around us. Even saw a rogue hyena right on the side of the road, probably looking to, find a wounded or dying or sick animal. But I'll throw a picture in there. The view when we got to eventually to like the visitors center, the view when we went up high and you're able to just overlook it all and see all of the wildebeest. Our professor said there was easily over 100,000. So it's pretty
So
crazy.
when you're driving, I don't want to. I mean, I guess we can go off on a tangent, but
Yeah,
um,
wherever you want to
when
go.
you're driving in, is most so you say like how far is the visitor center, for example, when you enter the park? How long do you have to drive to get there?
It's hard to say. It's hard to remember exactly
Okay.
because it was 2017, and while I have my little journal where I took notes, it's not precise like to a T. I want to say it was a couple hour drive. So I woke up because people were like, "Oh, look at, there's wildebeest," and then it just didn't end for a couple hours, and that was where you got to the visitor center. Now the visitor center is not like this grand establishment with all these things. Like, it's a tiny little shop, a restroom, and then somewhere where like you pay your park fees, right?
Yeah.
So that was it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful and unique things about the Serengeti in comparison to all the other places we went in Tanzania and just national parks in general is it's specifically remote, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
going to this luxurious, like when you go to Yellowstone, there's a lot of really big open visitor centers and lodges and places that you can go and
Yeah.
relax. And it's meant to be just the way it was back then, you know, how the land was, how, you know, just natural ecosystem.
Yeah.
Um, so you're driving, and I remember we're seeing. I mean, it is Lion King. If you want to know what it's like, just watch Lion King. That is what the Serengeti is. But you're seeing like the baobab trees, like the Rafiki tree to a T. I remember you're seeing, and we got in during like afternoon into evening. So our whole like game drive there was the Great Migration, and then we're seeing like a lone giraffe and its endless plains. And as we drove from the southern end towards more of the center, um, we started to get to where our camp was, and that's where you started to get more of the savanna woodlands and everything. But I
Yeah.
mean, again, you're just constantly looking out in every direction, scanning, looking for wildlife.
Yeah. And I asked that question just as like a sort of intro question in my mind when you mention it, the park being as big as the state of Maryland. I'm trying to, get a concept of, are there roads going through the whole park? Are the buildings like the visitor center? Well, I don't know. Are there other buildings in the park? I have no idea. But like, are
Not
they,
many.
yeah, are they towards the edge of the park? Are they more interior? Are there roads that go through the whole park? Are there roads or are there parts of the park that are just basically untouched? It's
So
such a
right
huge
away,
park.
you Yeah, right away, at least from the southern end where we went in, right? Right away, you get your endless plains, right? That's like where it gets its name.
Okay.
So you're driving and it's just plains, flat grass, you know, the occasional giraffe. You got some birds, maybe a baobab tree here. You have some Simba rocks. They call them Simba rocks. It's just like Pride Rock.
Okay.
They call them Simba rocks because Simba means lion in Swahili, and the lions
Mhm.
like to hang out on those rocks. And fun fact, those rocks are there because they're a different type of rock than the soil. So they erode
Mhm.
much slower, which is why they're like to find out.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, you're just getting basically this flat ecosystem. You're driving on one road. That's the only road there is. It's a dirt road, and you're just going straight. There's no
Yeah.
buildings. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
And there's one visitor center, which is again very modest. And then you're just going straight, and it's flat until
Okay.
you started to get into that woodland savanna habitat where you start to get more acacia trees and some more shrubbery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when we drove in, I mean, I am not a professional photographer. I was decent back then because I took one photography class in college. But I'm going to put it up. I got the best picture of a sunset I've ever got in my life. I mean, it's a perfect picture, honestly. And it just shows how naturally gorgeous it is the entire time you're there. The daytime, the sky, the nighttime, the sunrises, anything. It's picturesque, like literally from the moment you entered and until the moment you leave.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that answers my question.
People may be wondering what it's like to be in a safari car, right? Like maybe you're going to go to Tanzania. Maybe you're someone who gets a little motion sickness. It's rough. It's not luxurious. It's pretty rough and tough, but it's fun. Like if you're gonna be a person who's gonna go embrace the adventure and the experience, it's for you. I mean, you are in the safari cars that we were in. They have a detachable roof, right? So you'd push the roof and it would come up, which meant that we would have shade above us eventually when we put the roof up. Or you could put it down. So if it was raining, you're in just like a normal Jeep kind of car. And for most of it, you're standing up, and actually some of the cars didn't have anything. The roof was just completely detachable, and then you're just outside. And that's what was the most fun because when you're driving through those dirt roads, there's hardly any cars. You're scanning for wildlife. The drivers are so skilled and knowing where the animals are. So they will stop when, you know, they see something that you want to see, a giraffe, or they're like, hey, there's lions usually hang out here or something like that. But for when you're just ripping through the Serengeti, you are going full speed, dust, dirt. You can hardly hear anything. Just, you know, the wind tunnel you're in. It is so much fun. It is a blast. It feels like a roller coaster ride. And these aren't paved roads, they're dirt roads. So there's a lot of, you know, call them potholes. There's a lot of just bumps and turns and everything. And there are many moments I remember where literally we were almost flung out of the car because it's so bumpy. I mean, they slow down and everything, but yeah, you're ripping through the Serengeti, and that was truly one of the best feelings. And then when you're not, they slow down, and you've got your binoculars, you got your camera, and you're finding, this animal or that, whatever it may be. So, um, it it's adventurous. It's not this cushy like, oh, I'm gonna sit in the back of the car and relax. Like, get ready. It's a ride.
Do they brief you guys at all on like rhinos or elephants approaching the truck? Because I know I'm sure you've seen the videos of like rhinos flipping
Yeah.
cars and stuff, you know. So was that talked about at
So
all when you first get in there?
by the time we had gone to the Serengeti, it was the end of March. We had got to Tanzania, I think January 20th. Um,
Oh,
and we
okay.
had gone to like Lake Manyara National Park, Tarangire National Park. We had been on a lot of safaris prior to that. This was kind of the like big culmination safari because the Serengeti is the ultimate safari spot.
Yeah.
So it wasn't our first time encountering. We actually didn't see any rhinos in the Serengeti. We saw two in the Ngorongoro crater.
Okay.
Um, so that completed our big five, if you want to consider it like the greater Serengeti ecosystem.
Yeah.
But the guides are so skilled and they know what to do. I mean, while we were students, college students, we were very respectful. And, when you have an animal like an elephant that is so close, or a herd of elephants, which happen very commonly, I'll show some pictures and videos like right up to the car. They have a certain body language that will tell you, I'm walking by, I'm not threatened, I'm fine. And then other times they have a body language where they're kind of flare their ears and they will face the car head on. I have so many videos of like the car starting back up because what often you'll do is you'll get to a spot where there's a lot of animals. If you get close to the herd of elephants, you'll turn off the car, everybody will be very quiet, and you'll just observe.
Yeah.
Um, and if an elephant does show that body language, like, hey, you're starting to get too close, then we'll turn the car on, we'll back up and reverse. And they may do like a little mock charge, but
Yeah.
as long as it's handled appropriately, it's usually not a problem.
Okay.
And that's, I know it's a question that people have is safety. Cause my dad asked me that. It's generally a very safe place. If you're going to follow the rules, if you're going to abide by, what your guides are going to say, you're really not going to be in too much danger. I mean,
Yeah.
even though there's so many predators and large animals there, that just goes for nature in general. Like if you're doing the right things, you're not screwing around, you're typically going to be okay.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, a lot of really close experiences to elephants, which are elephants and rhinos are really the only ones that are going to be a danger to you because the rest don't really see the car as humans. They just see the car as another thing that's there. But, the elephants are able to distinguish what you are.
Mhm.
Lions and all that, they're so habituated to people going by all the time, and
Sure.
there's no hunting there. There's,
Yeah.
unfortunately some poaching here and there, but not really for lions in the Serengeti. So
Yeah.
they just kind of stroll right by. And actually, so I was talking about our first evening there, right? Like we drove into the park, we had seen some animals, not a ton, and best sunset ever. The next morning we went out, we went birding. By the way, this is what like got me interested in birding in general, like birds in general. Before that, I had never really seen them. So many amazing birds there, just everywhere. Birds of prey, small birds, songbirds, everything was chirping, and it was a point of emphasis for us to go out bird every morning.
Yeah.
Um, but while we were doing a birding trip, we saw our first pride of lions in the Serengeti. It was 10
Oh,
lions,
nice.
I have it in my journal. So 10 lions, three males, and they walked right in front of our car, just kind of strolled right by.
Mhm.
And we saw it before them because we were standing up, we had the vantage point. They were walking into four warthogs who didn't see
Mm.
them either. So they were not on a hunt. They were just kind of walking. But
Yeah.
then all of the sudden, you saw them get into position, like into hunting position. They got down low,
Oh, yeah.
and the warthogs like stopped and they kind of perked up and they were looking. And they just started chasing. Like all the lions went everywhere, the warthogs went everywhere.
Yeah.
Very unsuccessful, and they
Yeah.
didn't go too far. And our guides were basically explaining that they were not prepared to hunt. They were not like
Yeah.
in hunting formation. They just happened to walk across prey,
Right.
and it wasn't worth their energy because usually they just will target one animal and hunt as a
Yeah.
team. But they were just kind of like, "Whoa, prey, go!"
Yeah.
like your dog would do if a squirrel runs.
Yeah. I had a question about
Yeah,
we're still on the topic of game drives. in
Hmm.
Serengeti, is that really the only way that is that basically the only activity that you're doing there? The only way that you're encountering wildlife is game drives?
Well, so like I said in the beginning, when you get into the Serengeti, whether you're on foot or you're in the car, it is a game drive or a game walk or wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. So like
Yeah,
even at the lodges, at one point we were at no, it was actually a different park, but regardless, they have animal experiences everywhere. Not experiences, but animal moments. Like animals will just kind of come into the lodges, they'll walk around, they'll do their thing.
yeah,
Um, but are you going on like guided walking tours is probably what you're asking. I
right,
don't think so.
okay,
I could be wrong. I mean, we didn't it was always a, safari car kind of thing. You
mhm,
have your like places where you stop and get lunch. There's like some picnic tables. I mean, there was never really anyone ever. We hardly saw anyone in the Serengeti. Again, Great Migration is the busy time. This was not the busy time, but
yeah,
that's even better. Um, and it's such a big park versus some of the other ones that like when we were in Lake Manyara National Park, that's a smaller one where our like place that we stayed was. You see cars, you're in line, you see cars everywhere, and that's cool. But like in the Serengeti, you
uh-huh,
feel like you're just out in the Wild West, like truly just how it used to be. Um, but other than that, it's kind of when you're camping, like when you're on ground at night, just seeing animals there. But
gotcha.
yeah, mostly game drives.
Yeah, so I have a few questions I just popped in my head right now, a few wildlife questions. I feel like we're on a good topic of wildlife right now.
Hmm.
Um, what
It's all wildlife. It's all
Yeah,
wildlife
right.
there. Hmm.
So, um, leading up to your trip, what was your number 1 target species that you wanted to see?
A leopard and a
Okay,
cheetah. Um, I mean, like lions are. I you can probably see the lion poster right behind me. Lions are my favorite, but I really wanted to see rhino. I want to see rhinos, leopards, and cheetahs because I think we maybe had seen a leopard, but not many, and we had seen no cheetahs and no rhinos. Um, we saw 5 leopards the first day we were there, the first
wow.
full day that we were
Uh-huh,
there. So we saw that pride of 10 lions, and then we also saw a mother and a cub leopard in a tree, and that was
nice.
the first like oh my god moment because
Yeah,
we hadn't seen something like that yet.
yeah,
They were just resting. We saw another 3 individuals after that, just in one day. I think we saw like 9 total while we were in the Serengeti.
yeah,
Um, that was huge. One of our cars, maybe 2 of our cars, saw cheetahs. I did not see any cheetahs, which was
okay,
very sad. There's a lower population of them in the Serengeti, and they were really high on my list.
yeah.
But we did see a serval. That was actually the last
Oh,
picture I
cool.
got on my camera. The
Yeah,
last day we were there, um, we saw a serval, and we were the only car to see them, and they are part of Tanzania or Africa's. I have it written down. I think it's like elusive or secret 7. Um, let's see. Yeah, Secret Seven. So serval, genet, we saw both of those. And then you've got your
cool.
aardvark, porcupine, African civet, African wildcat, and pangolin. We saw the serval, we saw the genet. Saw all
Okay,
the big 5. So we saw our leopards, buffalo,
okay,
elephant, rhino, and ngorongoro,
yeah,
and lion. And then we saw 3 of the little 5, which was a leopard tortoise, a buffalo weaver, a rhino beetle. Those are the 3 we saw. Elephant shrew and an ant lion. So, kind of going off of the lion, leopard, all
okay,
that stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, just the yeah, those are the ones that we saw
yeah.
and didn't see.
And
So,
it's kind of a silly question, I realize also because you're going to the Serengeti, it's such a hot spot that, like, it's kinda silly to name one thing that you really wanna see,
no,
but at the
no, but
same
at that
time
point,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, also some things are gonna be more elusive than others, things like that, so I guess it just depends, you know?
The serval, we had one of my friends, Daniel. Not Daniel Stellaric, who we had on last episode, different Daniel,
Yeah.
Daniel Schneider. We'll have him on, and I hope he doesn't mind that I say this, but he literally cried when we saw the serval. So he had spent a gap year, majority of it in Africa, and his brother had seen a serval when he was in Africa, and he never saw one. That was like the one animal he
Oh,
not one, but
nice.
just one of that he didn't get to see.
Yeah,
And so he saw it, and he's like, I've done it, and that's kind of how it is. Like
that's really
it
cool.
really is a checking things off the bucket list kind of adventure.
Yeah,
And when we went there, I said, you're either it's always a game from the moment, at least to me, it's like always a game. You are scanning, searching for wildlife the entire time. You've got your binoculars, you're ripping through the Serengeti, your arms are up, or you've got your binoculars in your hand, and you're looking for animals. And for me, it's how many can we see, and can we see the ones that I really want to see? And everyone had
yeah,
different ones. Some people were super into the birds, and they had birds that they wanted to see.
sure.
I like my, big cats, so I want to see those. Another one that I really hoped we saw and we did not see was African painted dogs.
Yeah,
Critically endangered, very hard to find. Didn't see those there. They are there, but we didn't see them.
yeah, for
So
sure. What's a species you saw that you maybe weren't so excited about going into, but it really changed your mind seeing them in the wild?
maybe hippos.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
we had seen like a few hippos here and there at I think Tarangire National Park,
Mhm.
but we went to this hippo pool, and I'll show you a picture. We got there, and it was near a place that we ate lunch, which was actually another hippo pool. Um, And we got there, and they all started making a ton of noise. And like I told you, when you get there, you turn off the car so you can be respectful for the wildlife.
Yeah,
So all these hippos are in the water. They start making a ton of noise, and they get into this formation. Like they're like zigzagged every which way. And we get there, and they start making all this noise, and they line up and they face us with like the big one in front. And I was like, what's happening? And hippos are the most dangerous animal in all of Africa. Second, or the second one would be a Cape buffalo.
yeah.
And so we're sitting there, and I'm like, if our car stalls out, we might be in trouble because these things, there's like 50 or 60 of them.
Jeez.
So I really got the appreciation for hippos there.
Yeah,
And then the serval was really cool. I think the birds, I had written down in my journal, we saw an African fish eagle. It
oh,
kind
yeah.
of looked like an African version of an American eagle, but it's I guess one
Yeah,
of the most efficient hunters in all of Africa,
mhm.
and it was gorgeous. And we saw a couple of them. Those are super cool. But I think the hippos had such a standout moment because we had seen so many elephants, which were always amazing
Yeah,
and things like that. But the hippos had their moment in the Serengeti for sure, and the leopards.
for sure. When you think of a wildlife encounter there, what's the first one that comes to mind?
Oh, okay. So we're gonna jump into camping in the Serengeti. So,
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
we could talk about the game drives. We can jump back to it anytime. But so for people who want to know what camping in the Serengeti is like, it is unlike anything I've ever experienced. So there are some lodges there. First off, they're tucked away. Again, I said the Serengeti is the size of Maryland. So imagine like a few hotels in Maryland, like you just don't really see them until you're there. But we did what we did, we just camped. So literally pitching tents at a campsite. There is one building that has a roof over it, and that is the bathroom. There's a men's and women's side. And that is the only structure that has literally a roof over it. And then there's just kind of like this open air dining hall area that's completely open air, like anything could jump in or out.
Mhm.
And then there's your tents. There's your tents and there's a fire pit, and that's it. And you don't have guards with guns. You're not allowed to shoot animals there. This is their home. So your guards have sticks that they just picked up on the ground, or at least ours did, and you're just on foot in nature. And it's not like the animals are like, "Oh, hey, this is the human area and we're over here." No, they're everywhere. They're walking through your tent, they're walking through your camp. So that's kind of the layout, right? You're on foot, you get there in the evening. There's a hard rule that you have to be in your tents by 11 because obviously it gets pretty dangerous after that, or it could be. And your guards kind of stand on duty for the rest of the night. But it got dark at like 7, 8.
Yeah.
Well, so when you ask me what my first animal encounter is, I think of there was a moment I set a stare down with a Cape buffalo. Cape buffalo is the second most dangerous animal in all of Africa. All of Africa. Only behind hippos. So we had a guard, Bura. He used to call me JJ. JJ, come here, JJ. And he, all of a sudden one night, we're standing there, and there's a herd of like 300 Cape buffalo. And you can't tell how many it is because it's just dark and there's a sea of Cape buffalo. But they're only about 50, 75 feet away. And he goes, JJ, come here, come here. So me and this girl, Mila, came up next to Bura, and a couple of our other classmates were behind us. He's like, come here. And he goes, you see this line? He draws a little line in the dirt. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, we're going to walk over this line and watch what happens, right? So we walk over the line, and there was a Cape buffalo that kind of just like looked over, right? And he goes, all right. Now he draws another one. He goes, you see this one? And he's like, now see what happens when we walk over. So now we walk over it, and the Cape buffalo turns and faces us. The third line, we go over it, and the Cape buffalo now starts to kind of move his head, putting his foot down a little bit, and he goes, do you see that fourth line there? And I'm like, yeah. And he's literally just drawing a line in the sand. And he's like, if we cross that Cape buffalo will charge us, and all of the Cape buffalo will charge us, and we will die. And I was like, oh my. And I turned around, and my buddy Daniel was so upset with me in that moment because he's like, you don't understand the danger you're putting us in. And I didn't, but I'm following, our guard. He lived there his whole life.
Yeah.
But that was one of the craziest experiences, because I'm now, when we walked forward, now we're about like 30 feet away. That's what I have written in my journal, about 30 feet away from this Cape buffalo.
Yeah.
It's nighttime. There's a sea of them behind it, and all we have is our flashlights, and we're just shining it at him. And he just looked at us, faced us, kind of told us to back off. And then if we got closer, he would have charged, and it would have been a stampede. Literally Lion King stampede, even though those are wildebeest. And I still think about that moment, just raw nature experiences. Another one, if you're up for it. So
yeah,
I had told this, I think, on the first episode that we recorded, but the third night we were there, so the last night we were there, it was about, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 10:30. Some people were already in their tents, and you heard what we all thought was just thunder, like just literally thunder outside. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's going to rain. It's Cape buffalo running. We didn't know that at the time, but it's Cape buffalo running. So all of a sudden there's like commotion, and our professors and the guards like run this way. I ran with them, and they're like, everyone into their tents. I didn't listen. I was bad, but I was a college kid, and I was listening to everything else they said. I wasn't going to do anything else. But so I follow them right next to the women's restroom, and there's all these Cape buffalo running by, and these are giant animals. Yeah. If you ever seen a Cape buffalo, I'll show you a picture. They are giant animals.
They've got to be like 1,000+ pounds, I'd imagine.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah.
And we shine our flashlights, and all we see is the glow of two predator eyes. It was two lions, probably about 100 or so feet away, and they had got a kill. They had got a buffalo, and they were just there. And we were looking at them, like, oh my gosh. And I remember they're like, everyone into the women's restroom right now, because we were right there. So we're in the women's restroom. It was like, oh my gosh, it's the craziest thing ever. And then they ushered everyone promptly back to their tents whenever it was safe. And yeah, that's just kind of like the wildness of camping there.
Yeah.
I said there were hyenas on our camp. So hyenas there are like raccoons to them. They're not like lions. They're like raccoons. So the first night we get there, all of a sudden, they make their whooping noise. Whoop, whoop. That's like a contact call kind of thing. They're everywhere. You're shining your flashlight and you're seeing a hyena run by, and you're like, oh my God. And this is a big, dangerous animal too.
Yeah. Very dangerous.
To the point where it became kind of, and you're not allowed to like walk out of a certain perimeter, like we have our area, and we're not allowed to walk out of that because it's very dangerous. The last night we were there, after that lion incident, there was a hyena that got stuck in our elevated garbage can, and our guard had to run over and like hit it with a stick, and it got out and it ran away.
No.
Like it's wild. Yeah. It's unbelievably wild.
Yeah. Hyenas are no joke too. That book I was telling you about before we started recording, people, the stereotype is they're just scavengers and they just take kills, they eat carrion, but they hunt as well. They'll take down zebras, they'll take
Yep.
down antelope. So they're no joke as well. They're what their jaws force is enough to break through the bones while they're eating, scavenging, etc. So
I think
yeah,
they have like the second or third strongest jaw force in Tanzania, only behind like the Nile croc, I think. Like it's
yeah,
crazy how
probably.
strong of jaws that they have. We saw Nile crocodiles too. That was
I,
wild.
I was gonna ask that too. That's awesome. That'd be on my list for sure.
Yeah, we saw less of those, and they were always just kind of chilling,
Yeah,
off like sun basking. So it wasn't something like the hippo experience where it was interactive.
yeah,
Um, but still, just amazing. That was on my list too to see those.
cool.
I have two more. I have two more camping stories real quick. So the
Yeah,
first night we were there, this was after the sunset. This is after we had seen I called it the Rafiki tree, from Lion King, the baobab tree, all these things. And I am just straight wired. Like I can't sleep. We're in these tents, three to a tent. It's me and two other guys. They're both asleep. And I'm sitting there and I'm just listening to the hyenas whoop, the birds, like everything that you can hear, and just listening to all the sounds of Africa. And I remember all of a sudden I hear just like you hear the lion roars, like this low
yeah,
roar, and then all the other lions echo to where they're all just kind of lowly roaring, not an aggressive roar, just like a and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the craziest thing. It sounded like they were right outside my tent. Turns out we talked to our guides the next morning, and it was a pride of 13 lions walked right through our tent, between where our tents were and where the restroom was, walked right through and right on by. And that same night, we all kind of woke up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm like, what was that? You just woke up because you heard a noise.
yeah,
That was a leopard had killed, and there was blood on the ground in the center of our tents. In the center of our tents,
yeah.
a baboon. It had killed a baboon and had brought it up to a tree. So I remember my buddy Daniel, because I
Yeah.
had stayed up late that night listening to the lions. He comes in, he's like, Jake, wake up, wake up. So we wake up and I see a couple of my other classmates standing there, and we're all watching in this tree two leopards fight over the baboon that had been killed in the middle of our camp. It's unreal. It
Yeah,
was just unreal.
that's crazy.
And so we were just in Florida celebrating my buddy Daniel Stelleric's wedding. I got to officiate it. Beautiful wedding. But we went out on the dock and the pier, and my dad was like, "Oh, look at this night sky. It's beautiful. Like I've only seen a better night sky in Canada." And I was like, "Oh, this is nothing. This is nothing." When I was in the Serengeti, unfortunately, I don't have good astrophotography skills. It is the straight up Milky Way, billions of stars. It is the hard like Milky Way down the middle,
Uh-huh.
stars everywhere. It is the clearest night sky I've ever seen.
I can't even imagine.
Undoubtedly, it was insane.
Because I'm like, when we go up to Wisconsin, like it's somewhat rural, especially compared to where we live here. And I'm blown away by the stars because you can actually see the stars, or at least a lot of them in the sky. But like seeing thousands, millions of stars, the Milky Way, that's just crazy. I can't even imagine what that would look like.
I'm gonna hunt it down. I know one of my classmates got a really good picture. I don't have it on my camera. I was just going through all of it before this.
Yeah,
I'll show it in here. It's unreal. It's unreal.
yeah,
It's just like it's life the way the sky used to look. Because remember, there's
right,
already not much light pollution in Tanzania in general,
yeah,
And in
yeah,
the Serengeti, you've been driving where there's zero light pollution for hours and hours and hours. There's nothing out there.
yeah.
So, yeah, just natural sky. It was gorgeous. So,
It,
camping in the Serengeti was definitely the most fun because it felt like in the car, the game drives were amazing as well. They were a very close second, but it felt like in the car you had some safety to you, and it felt like on the ground you were like, all right, like I'm in it, like I'm in this ecosystem now, like I'm part of it. If I step out of bounds, I'm in trouble. Go ahead.
this is a practical camping question in the Serengeti.
Yes,
What do you do if you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night?
that is a great question. You have to shine a light out of your tent and your guards escort you to the bathroom
So they'll
because your
stay up the whole
guards.
night
Yes, we have
on
the
shifts?
guards that came with us are people that lived at our it was at Moyo Hill. That was like again, this was a study abroad trip. They lived with us in that area where we did school and all those things. It's like this, couple acre fenced in area.
Yeah,
And they came with us on this trip. There's a couple of them and they took shifts. But yeah,
yeah.
if you have to go to the bathroom past 11 o'clock, you have to open open your tent, shine your light. They'll come get you and they'll bring you to
Uh,
the bathroom because
cool.
they've been standing guard. They know what's around. And again,
Yeah,
that's another part of this that I mean, we're not even going to scratch the surface of all the opportunities I had there, but the knowledge that the people there had that I got to learn from. I'm talking about Bura showing me the Cape Buffalo experience.
yeah,
The drivers when they just like all of a sudden they're like, there's going to be a something, and then it happens. Unreal. The knowledge and
yeah.
familiarity they have with the ecosystems is just incredible.
That's
So
yeah, I feel the exact same way. Not that I've been to the Serengeti and not that I've been in it as dangerous of an environment as that, but like even guides when I've went to like Peru and Costa Rica, their familiarity, like the way they're in touch with that environment, that ecosystem is unreal. Like the only way you get that is through basically living there or spending however many hours a week there. And oftentimes those guys are there for like their entire lives or a good part of it, like at least their adult lives. They've been doing that
yeah,
for years and years and years, if not like their whole life. So exactly what you said. I have such an appreciation when I see those guys out there and like being with them. Like you talk about that Cape Buffalo story, they're not joking, like, they really know what they're
they
talking
know.
about, they're not just making it
Yeah.
up. Yeah, that stuff is awesome. It's so cool.
It's what, I went to, I always say that because, there were so many other experiences in the 3.5 months that I was there. I went to Africa, I went to Tanzania for the animals, and I came back appreciating the culture and the people there so much.
Yeah,
And that is what I crave. I mean,
yeah,
that's where I want to go back so bad. And the people and the cultures there are at the top of the list of why.
yeah,
Serengeti is the second list, the second.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, camping in the Serengeti, the game drives, it's the most fun. Trust me, like I've got a great life here and everything, but like it's just so unique and so different. It is the most different experience I've ever had in my life. Like the rest of life is here, the Serengeti is here.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay,
and
so go ahead.
last little topic, just to touch on that. Um, when we left Ngorongoro Crater, so I had some sort of service. It was a 9-hour difference from home life to Africa life. But I had some sort of service basically the entire time we were there. When I woke up from my nap between Ngorongoro and Serengeti, I had no service, and I knew it was going to be no service. So the entire time we were there, off the grid, phone was in the pocket, maybe I don't even remember, but it was gone, and it was the first time, again, growing up in the United States, first time in a remote place like that. It was the first time I just didn't have connection to my phone. It was the most liberating, exciting thing ever because it didn't matter if you wanted to connect to my girlfriend, who's now my wife at home, or my family, or share these experiences. You just got to completely immerse in the moment, appreciate. Everyone was appreciating the same things. There's no social media, there was no scrolling, there was no calling. It was just where you were at and what you were doing. That's why the night sky was so beautiful. That's why the animals you felt so you felt like you were completely part of it, and that's the thing that I just appreciated the most. I mean, I got a million stories I can share in Tanzania, and I'm sure they'll come out, as we continue to do the podcast in general. But
Yeah,
if you got anything else, shoot for it. If not, why don't we jump into our music to moments?
yeah, let's jump into it.
Okay, so we got 3 music to moments this week. We have 1 song you're going to play during a Serengeti sunrise, 2 song you're going to play while ripping down the Serengeti, as I like to say, and 3 the song you're going to play during a Serengeti sunset. Dean, we will start with you.
Okay. First of all, when I'm out camping, out in the woods or wherever, there's no music. So I
Mm-hmm.
take this little segment as, like very theoretical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I
Yeah.
was being filmed sort of like for a movie scene or something and there's like a song or a track going. So that's like my context when it comes to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, all right. So Serengeti Sunrise, I went with Could You Be Loved by Bob Marley. Um,
Nice.
I don't know if it's like the way I pictured it was maybe not so like strictly the sunrise per se, but like getting up at camp in the morning and like
The morning experience.
getting a good like vibe going. I'm sure, I mean, you guys might be getting up. Did you get up at like in the dark a lot as well when you were
It was
getting
like
up at
5
camp?
a.m. So it was
Okay.
like
So
it
maybe
was about to get it was about to get light.
so
So you
maybe
saw the sunlight though, you know?
right,
You
but
saw the
I guess
sunrise, I should say.
so the question is sunrise though. So anyway, when it gets light and stuff and you want, a good vibe and stuff, good energy. That's what I was thinking of like in camp or maybe getting in the truck to go on a game drive. I thought of Could You Be Loved by Bob Marley, like good vibe.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun. All right,
just like
ripping through the Serengeti.
um this one was hard because I don't want to go for something like too like adrenaline filled, also like
Mm-hmm.
too serene or boring. It's a song I've been playing a lot for whatever reason, but it's Live Forever by Oasis. Do you know the
Okay.
song?
I do actually, yeah.
Okay. Um that one I got like a feeling of doing something really profound in your life or something that you're never gonna forget. Because like
Meaningful. Yeah.
yeah, meaningful. This idea of like you're gonna live forever is like I don't know. It's kind of like transcendent. It's like it brings me mentally somewhere like that you'd want to be forever, kind of. You know what I mean? Like this
Yep.
is living forever, or like the Serengeti lives forever, and that's also like a good vibe. That song. So I thought of "Live Forever" by Oasis for the
Nice. I like
for
it.
the
I
drive,
like it.
and then for the sunset, this one's really niche. Like I didn't even know the name of this, but I was going through like my Spotify, like trying looking for inspiration. Um, it's like a lo-fi sort of like electronic song,
Ooh,
very
yeah.
like,
What you
thematic and stuff. It's very niche. It's one of the metal bands I listen to, one of the guitarists has like a side project and he's into like lo-fi thematic electronic stuff. It's called Mare Tranquillitatis. So
okay?
basically it's like
Yeah,
really
you have
like
to text me that one. Get the
yeah, you'll
so I
probably
can
like it.
yeah.
It's really yeah, it's like really serene, thematic, electronic music. And like I imagine that as um, the sun's going down, maybe I'm even crawling in my tent after the sun goes down and I just want something like super serene, very calming and something that makes me reflect on the day and what I saw. So nothing with lyrics, just like really calming thematic
Nice.
stuff. So I went with that one. Uh, yeah, those are my three.
Very cool. I like it.
Let's
And per
let's go
usual,
over.
we have a different three.
Yeah,
The
let's go
only
over
one I
that.
was worried about possibly carrying over was Sunrise, Circle of Life, had to.
Yeah.
Favorite animated movie and movie in general, The Lion King. Um, and it's funny, I actually was, like I said, I was reading back through my journal of when I was there and just kind of the experiences and everything to kind of get myself in the mindset. I wrote, and I quote, I simultaneously put this in my bucket list and crossed it off at the same time. Um, the last day we were there, I was very sad, very sad. Or the last morning that we were there because I had loved the night so much. I knew that we had one game drive, then we're leaving. And so I put on my headphones, and as the sun was rising, I played The Circle of Life. And it was just the most like I was crying. I teared up. I have that in there too. But it was worth it. I mean, it's just when one of the biggest things that got me into nature in general, Steve Irwin, the zoo I used to go to, and then movies like Lion King and Jungle Book, and
Mhm.
Lion King being such a strong movie from my childhood and to this day. Hans Zimmer doing the score, Lebo M singing the nah. It was the perfect experience. And again, like I said in the beginning, if you want to have a visualization of what the Serengeti is like, watch The Lion King. It's spot on. It just looks like what it is. Um, so that's what I went for there. Ripping down the Serengeti, and again, this is a roller coaster ride. So I could have gone. It's literally a roller coaster ride. That's how it felt. Like just boom, boom, boom. Like just. Dun, 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 dun. I thought of Raiders March from Indiana
Nice.
Jones because we did play that a lot.
Oh,
But I ended up kind of approaching it like you did with your morning one, and I just picked Africa by Toto, basic. But
yeah, good
there's
one though.
to this day when I hear that song, I think of the game drives. Like every time
Mhm.
I hear that song, I think of seeing hyenas. I think of the leopard in the tree. I think of the lions walking by, the elephants there. So to me, like that is the essence of the game drive is that song.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't play it while I was in the Serengeti. I did play it on other national parks in my headphones. But and then Sunset, I had a harder time with this one because didn't really the sunsets were so packed with adventure too that like I was basically on until I was asleep, you know. But I ended up picking Destiny by Burna Boy. So I feel like Tanzania is really the place where my mission started, right? The like I always loved nature and the outdoors and wildlife, but this was the first time I really felt like I could have an impact on all of it. Like I could be a conservationist, I could do something like Steve Irwin, I could be a part of it.
Yeah.
And that song is very, like you were saying, it does have lyrics, but it's very reflective to me because
Mhm.
just kind of talking about like your destiny, like what you're meant to do. Burna Boy is from Africa, so it kind of fits that vibe too.
Okay.
So yeah, those are my three.
Very good. And then
I love the music to moment section. It's
yeah,
always so fun to think of.
and
And
per usual, anybody listening, we'd love if you dropped, your 3 songs in the comments.
please do.
We love reading those comments. We really
I
like.
love visualizing it too. Like I've
Yeah,
listened to
that as
yours while
well.
thinking about skiing the other day. Like just the
Yeah,
songs that you hear from others kind of give you inspiration. You're like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'll save that. Or this
yeah,
makes me think of this now. So yeah, please do drop your comments of your 3 songs and please provide feedback on, what you think of Serengeti. Have you been? Do you want to go? Is it at the top of your bucket list? And if it's not, why is it not? Because it should be. That's your recommendation from me over here. But yeah, that's our episode today, going over the Serengeti National Park. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the show. It does really mean a lot for us to continue to build this community, again, of people who just care about the outdoors, want to hear stories, want to chase wild, which is, again, the Serengeti is the essence of chasing wild. It's everything that we talk about, everything we want to do, all wrapped up into one. It's a fun episode. Dean, good time. Anything
yeah.
else before we go?
No, it was a good one. I think I'm all good.
Let's go on. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time on the Chasing Wild podcast.